Hello, my name is David Hanna and I'd like to welcome you back to my channel, the Creative Research Channel. In this video, we're going to do something very simple. We're going to use Qualtrics, which is an online survey production tool, and we're going to create a very, very simple, basic survey. My aim with this video is just to give you a sort of hands-on look at screen sharing whilst I create a very, very simple survey. The research question this survey deals with is, does focus-free writing increase students' emotional clarity about a difficult situation? And with that, let us move over to the screen sharing component of this video. So I have just opened up the main screen of Qualtrics. As you can see, welcome, this is my particular sign-in page. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new project. I'm going to come down here where it says create a new project, and I'm just going to click on it. I want to create a survey from scratch. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to give a title. In this case, I'm going to call this difficult situation study, and I'm going to create the project. Okay, so you can see it's opened up. We have a few panels here. We have questions and so on. If we go a bit further down, we have a whole list of things that I'm going to come back to. Okay, so since this is a survey, the first thing I want to do is I need to do a consent page. So let me define this block as the consent block. I have to write block consent because this is where I'm going to put my consent form. And I'm going to click on this question. And when I do, you can see that over here I get a different set of choices. I'm going to go down. Now, since this is going to be the introductory text, I'm going to hit on text graphic, which means I'm going to put in information here. So I'm going to click this question to text, and I'm just going to copy and paste in some information. So the first thing I want to copy in is just a general invitation. Put that in here. You're invited to participate in the study about writing, about personal experiences, and so on. And now I want to add something about the consent form, participation, what they'll be involved with, and so on. I'm making this very, very simple. Please check the IRB at your own institution for what is required for this. But I just want you to get a feel for what these types of things look like. Okay. So now let us go down. So this is just a general text. It gives you a quick, brief introduction to what's in this study, and then goes over a few things, what you're going to be doing, completing 7 to 10 minutes, the risks of the study, participation is voluntary, and so on. But as I said, please make sure that you check with your IRB exactly what needs to be in this part of the document. Now, this is not enough. This is just general information. Now I actually need to add the consent piece. So I'm going to add a new question. And in this case, I'm going to make it a multiple choice question. I only want 2 options. So I'm going to go over here, make it 2 options. And I want to ask them, do they actually agree to be in this study? Okay. Do you agree to participate in this study? And let's make this 2 choices, right? So that's the item. So at the moment it's got 5 choices. I'm going to reduce it over here to 2. And now that I've got, now that I've done this, there is something else I want to do. So if they agree to participate, I want them to continue. But if they don't agree to participate, if they click no, I'm going to want them to go to the end of the survey. So I'm going to click skip logic. And you see, this is the question, end of survey. If no is selected, confirm. So what this means is that if they click on a no, they're just going to go to the end of the survey. Okay, so now we have a consent form, which includes some introductions, some clarifications, and then the agreement to participate in the study. Now, this is a pre and post design study, which means that they'll do the measurement variables twice. So let's first of all add a block. And we're going to call this block pre-scales. So this is going to be the scales that they do before they do the actual task. So let's add a new question here. And in this case, we're going to use something called a matrix table. Okay, so you can see this is what the matrix table looks like. So first of all, I'm going to put in a prompt over here. Let me get rid of click here for this question. So this is the prompt itself. Take a few moments to think back over your life. Think of a moment in which you had difficulty in relation to this moment. Please rate the degree you agree or disagree with these statements. Now that we have the prompt, what we need to do is fix up the scales. So first of all, we want to look at the scale points and we want to make them into agree or disagree. So if I go down here to scale points, you see here, I'm going to raise this to 5, so I have 5 points. And if you see this button here, use suggested scale points, let me click on that. You can see that one option I have is agree or disagree. I'm going to use agree and disagree. Now, what's important about this, as you can see here, is that it's already generated the language for agree and disagree. This has been psychometrically validated as language which people understand. So this is a good thing to have. So we want to do this, and we want 5 points on the scale because that's an uneven number. It gives you enough variation to see what's going on. Now what I need to do is add the actual statements that we're going to use. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to erase what we've already got, and I'm going to type in the relevant scales. So that's the scale number 1. I know exactly how I'm feeling about this event. These are the scales that deal with emotional clarity. Let me deal with number 2. Let me type this one in. In number 3. Add some scale points here because I have only 3 and I want 5. So let me go up here and add 4, 5. I actually have 4 statements in this particular case. last one. Okay, so with that, let me go back and just take a look. So these are my pre-scales. Remember, I have only one question, my pre-scales. This is the prompt. These are the actual scales themselves, the agree or disagree, and this was generated. So with that, I can now add a new block. Now this block, and I'm going to name it meaningful, name it if I could spell, meaningful literacy. So here we're actually going to have the task. Now, this particular task, I'm going to add a new question. Now, this is going to be a text entry task. So it's going to have a prompt, and then I'm actually going to ask them to write things. So let me get that. So if we look at this, you can see I have room to fix up the prompt, which I'll do in a second. And here I have a box for text entry. Now, if I go over here where it says text type, single line, I don't want a single line. I'm going to give them an essay box. So when they see the survey, it'll be a larger item. Now let me get rid of this and let me copy and paste in the task itself. And this is a simple free writing task. Let me paste. Let me read it for you. Think of a difficult moment which you have chosen. Close your eyes and imagine the experience. In the space below, write for 3 minutes without stopping about this certificate. Do not consider grammar, spelling, writing issues, and so on. So that's the task. And then they have room to actually put it into the text. Okay, the next thing we need to do is add the post set of questions. So let me add a block here. Let me call this post scales. Remember, I'm using the same type of scale that I was using before. So I'm going to add a new question. It's going to be a matrix table style question. Let me add in the prompt. Although this is the same emotional clarity question, the prompt is going to be different because this is after the scale. So let me just cut and paste this in. In relation to the difficult moment just wrote, please rate the degree to which you agree or disagree with these statements. So we move this down. Okay, that's good. Okay, now I want to change these into a 5-point scale. So make this 5 points. And let me make this agree or disagree. Okay, that's good. Now let me add in the statements. Add the number of statements, make it 5. And with that, I have a question, which is the post scales. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add demographic questions. So let me add a block here. Let me title it demographics. Be nice if I could spell. Add a new question. This is going to be a multiple choice question. So let me put in the prompt. What gender do you identify with? That's the prompt. And let's change this to man, change this to woman. Let's change this to transgender and change this to transgender. Let's add choices. Let's put in gender variant. Forming listed and prefer. Oops. Okay. That question. Let's add one more. Also a multiple choice. This time we're going to deal with racial and ethnic identification. Choices. Okay, so with that we have two demographic questions in this particular block. And then you can see at the very end, we thank you for your time spent on this survey. So it ends up with a thank you. So the final thing we want to do here is to add page breaks to each of the different pages so that they can't see all of the survey at the same time. Remember, this is a pre and post design. So here we have the consent form. So let's go up here and we're going to do add page break. And what this will do is it adds a page break after this moment. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to add a page break. Now we're going down to the meaningful literacy task. We're going to add a page break here as well. Now we have the post scales. I'm going to add your page break here. Now I have the gender racial identity. So I'm going to add a page break here. And with that, I'm more or less finished. The one last thing I wanted to point out here is that you have this publish button and the preview button. If you hit the preview button, it will allow you to see exactly what the survey looks like from beginning to end. If you hit the publish button, it will allow you to actually take this live and give you a link to use. And with that, this is my brief introduction to how to create a survey on Qualtrics. I hope this has been helpful to you, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.